What
Hmm.
does luxury mean to you? Because the term luxury,
Hmm.
I think, is used a bit loosely and
Yeah.
casually. But what does
Yeah.
that mean?
I think it's a broad term. I mean, each of us individually could talk about a luxury in our life at any income level, something that you're not, usually do. It's this notion of indulgence. There are certain markers. Traditionally, it was about things like the footprint of the rooms, having more space. Time is the ultimate luxury, but it was these markers of like thread count and other things. And really that shifted. It's been much more about the things we talked about earlier in the conversation. That's about knowing and really feeling personal and feeling, not just, recognized, but known and personalized in a way that we use personalization, hyper personalization. They've been around a long time, but the one example with the picture frame, or the one with, Hotel de Crillon, the Rosewood property of, at every touch point, there were things that were known about it, and the way it was engaged, felt very warm and personal in terms of the interaction and knowing me and being able to engage. I think, luxury itself in terms of, let's say, hotel, like, is a wide thing. There's luxury, I say, with a lowercase L, luxury with a capital L, ultra luxury, right? And there are things even beyond that where, it's, to an extreme. So even within that, and that's why, five star, you don't have to be the same brand. There are brands that are contemporary, and you have Hotel de Crillon in Paris, which is, tremendously beautiful and this, iconic old school. And you've got Cheval Blanc, which, LVMH has, which is, I think the epitome of, modern Parisian luxury, in a way that's very different, the opposite end. I might choose to stay at both. I might prefer one, or I might find like that's different. Or there may be somebody where they eschew kind of the older hotels that look and feel and want something different, and vice versa. So I think, it's not that one, that all of these can and should coexist, and they're different customers and segments that evolve. But ultimately, each of them has to say, like, how am I caring for people? And a luxury is, that notion, I think, more and more of people wanting to have things that are meaningful. Ritz Carlton Reserve and Ritz Carlton, the team, my good friend Guillaume Benizak, who I love, who ran the Ritz Carlton Toronto at a five-star level, and also is on part of Tina Edmondson's brilliant, brand team under her great leadership at, that company and brand. They had these different touchstones to have unique experiences that were very meaningful and specific to the hotel, the destination, certain property, and weren't things you could find either at other hotels or elsewhere. So that notion of going deep, but also differentiated, and in a way, I think access, the ability to have access to things, to have exclusivity, to have rarity, more and more to find that hidden gem. Those are elements of luxury. The reality is we talk about like transformation experiences, they should be curated. Nobody really wants to go into, let's say, a farm setting and spend 10 hours in the baking sun as part of a luxury experience, like, picking different vegetables, or right, or slaving in a hot kitchen for 10 hours. The process of learning the journey and how that's done in a way that's meaningful but still feels to that person authentic, right? But I think luxury is too broad of a term, both in specific to hotels and also broadly in concept, to necessarily, it connotes something. And then we also say, like, oftentimes if you call something luxury, it probably isn't.